welcome to this week's feedback. We have got one task one and two task two. Let me just, there's crazy sunlight in here. So I still haven't delivered the essay structure training. So I'm going to finish that today and email it out to everybody. And from then I will only be doing feedback on people who follow the essay structure training, because I find myself making the same corrections all the time. But anyway, it's a joy because I love helping you achieve your goals. As soon as I see that I'm actually live, we can start. So the task one that I've got today is general. It's a letter. As usual, I'd love this to be interactive. So I would love you to, I'm going to show you these essays and see what you think about them. Great. Awesome. There's nothing worse than hearing your voice line. Okay, so this is Samia's. Samia has written the task 2 essay. And it is a direct question. It's an opinion direct question essay. So, around the world, many adults are working from home. I just need to check that this email went out. Did you receive an email saying that there is a... Yeah, great. Perfect, perfect. Around the world, many adults are working from home and more children are beginning to study from home because technology has become cheaper and more accessible. Do you think this is a positive or a negative development? So I'm looking for a committed answer. Okay, let's have a look at Samia's paraphrase. It's not uncommon for the adults and children to use technology as a medium of communication and entertainment all over the world. It is due to the fact that digital mediums can be bought at low prices and people can use these wherever they want as per their convenience. Okay, so immediately, Samia, you have not addressed the question. So you haven't said anything about work or study. Working from home and studying from home. It's not only about using technology as a means of communication. So this isn't actually 100% relevant. So this paraphrase, for me, I would have started this in recent years. Adults and children have begun working from home. So the first error I see is this. So we don't say the adults and children. It's like people. We never use the with people unless it's the people of Edinburgh or Scotland or wherever. So it's not uncommon. I like that you use this paraphrase. This is one that I teach, but you haven't, not relevant enough. You've completely missed working and studying. So you've missed some task points in your task response here. Not relevant enough. And then you say it is due to the fact. This is due to the fact, not it. But it doesn't ask you why is this happening. So this is also irrelevant. It doesn't ask you why. If it says why is this happening, then we say this is due to. But so also irrelevant. It doesn't ask you why Okay. I strongly believe that it is a positive development because of the impact it has on the environment, economy, and society as a whole. So that's a good thesis. That's great. But you have missed points in your task achievement here because you have done, first of all, you've missed the main premise. The premise is working. It's not simply using, it's working from home. And you've also made a completely irrelevant statement here. You're not going to get any points for this at all because it's not connected to the premise. Anyway, good. Can everybody see? Shall I make it bigger? Let me see what the comments are. Hi, Hanaim. Hi, Maha. Hi, Samir. Okay, good. Good. So firstly, distant learning and working from home affects the environment in a positive way. So first of all, distance learning is the collocation. Different spelling. That's the collocation. And working from affects the environment in a positive way. If there is a less commute between offices, schools and homes, then there is a less chance of air pollution due to less emission, okay, so if there is not a less commute, less of a commute, less of a, that's what we say, less of a journey, less of a commute between, then there is less of a chance. Then there is less of a chance. It's not so much about a chance of air pollution. If there's less of a commute, we can just say this reduces air pollution. It's definite. It's not a chance of reducing. I would say this reduces air pollution. This reduces, not less of a chance. Then this reduces air pollution due to lower emissions and carbon footprint. They're different things. So we don't emissions of carbon footprints due to lower emissions. That's the collocation with emissions. Due to lower emissions. 1 second. So it's due to lower emissions, but not lower fossil fuels. Due to lower emissions, I just think delete this because it doesn't actually flow in the sentence. And we don't, lower emissions of carbon footprints on fossil fuels. So the fossil fuels doesn't go there because it would be due to lower emissions and the use of fossil fuels. Anyway, but lower emissions is fine, which will result in a healthy, I think healthier, not so much healthy, but healthier environment. For instance, studies have shown that in the last year, during COVID times, I would say during the recent pandemic, but that's okay, there was, so if it's in the last year, then the grammar is the present perfect. There has been. A decrease in global warming, great. Moreover, a decrease in daily commute, a decrease in the daily commute, or in daily commuting, saves time and people get to spend more time with their loved ones, which improves their social lives Well, if it's with their loved one, I would say family lives. Thus, it is lucid that using technology tools in learning and work ensures a pleasant and a tranquil society. We don't say it is lucid. That's not the correct word here. Thus, it is evident. Okay, good. Secondly, this advancement in technology has helped people in improving their lifestyles, one word. Many companies hire employees from other countries, and these job opportunities enable people to establish financially. So after establish, you need an object, establish themselves. You need a noun with establish. So let's say themselves. Financially. Okay. Similarly, this technological boost has given many teachers an extra financial edge. Right, this is what you need with the who. So when we use a relative clause, who or which or whose, you need it directly after the noun it describes. So here, you are describing the financial edge who. So that doesn't make sense. So we're going to take that. You have to put the who after the person it describes. So you have to put it after teachers. Many teachers who are providing online tuition, not tuitions, and then you want, it's a non-defining relative clause, so it's inside 2 commas. Not plural. An extra financial edge. For instance, my friend has opened an agency which hires, no. So although it says give examples, we never give personal examples. We don't write a little story. So instead of saying my friend, my mother, my neighbor, we say a person who. So it's got to be general. For instance, a person who opens. So here you would say many people. Not my friend. So many people are opening agencies. Many people are opening agencies. Which hires who give lessons virtually. Good. Hence, it is pellucid. I have never heard of this word. I'm 40. I have never heard of pellucid. So I'm just going to delete it. We don't need to grab very, very extraordinary, extra academic words. If you've never heard of a word before, or if you're not 100% natural using it, don't use it. I would just say consequently. Hence, the evolution in telecommunications helps individuals to evolve their standards of lives. Okay, great. In synopsis, so to conclude, this is another word that we don't need to change. You can get a band 9 essay by saying in conclusion. Sorry about my spelling. In conclusion, easy access to. So we don't have access to the technological development, easy access to technology. Technological development is different to technology. Easy access to, or the results of technological development, or the outcome of technological development. So to technology. Is a positive trend because it has many benefits on climate change and and want a noun, so not to, and improved, so an adjective, improved standards of life. It is predicted that this trend will continue to grow in the future. This is unnecessary, incorrect, and inaccurate. So I would say something like therefore. It's kind of just irrelevant, an irrelevant sentence. The question isn't about if it's predicted or not. Yeah, anyway, do you have any questions? I'll attach this document afterwards. So my main comment here is be very careful with your paraphrase. Don't write anything that isn't in the premise. So here's the premise. Right, sometimes I need to study something twice. So my apologies, Samir. My apologies. Right, so because technology, right, got it. It does say this in the premise. So it's part of your, so I read your second sentence as I understood you're answering a question, why is this? But it's actually part of your paraphrase. Okay, so I would completely do this differently, Samir. What I would say is due to, I would start your paraphrase with due to great. Lower prices, digital mediums. Yeah, that's what I would do. Samir, are you there? And do you follow me? So first of all, my apology for saying that was irrelevant. Now I understand it's part of your premise. Okay, good. Let me just see. Okay, so in that case, Samir, what I would do, so let me delete my comment. And then I would say here, it's part of the same sentence. So due to the fact that. Does that make sense? Or you could start your paraphrase with due to, or as a result of, or thanks to. And then if you start your paraphrase like that, you're actually changing the structure of the sentence, which is really nice. If there is a because in the middle of the paraphrase, you can actually write this part first, and it just shows your versatility with paraphrasing. So I'm glad that I double checked it. So my main comment here for Samir would be, you need to be relevant. It's about working. You need to mention working or studying. There we go. That's okay. Good. Structure is generally very, very good. Just a few vocabulary comments. Great. Okay, no personal stories or no personal examples, general examples. So I teach students in the academy, I always say, and also, so we want general examples, and we don't want invented studies or fake studies either. So good. Any questions, anyone, before I jump to the next one? So Ahmed, it's not open for Zoom, this one. It's just feedback. Great. So I'll attach that document. Good. So next one is Wafa. So we're doing 3. this is the second task 2, then we're doing a GT task 1. Fashion trends are difficult to follow these days, and it's widely believed that they primarily exist just to sell clothes. Some people believe that we shouldn't follow them and we should dress in what we like and feel comfortable in. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? This is what we were doing this morning. Okay, let me make it bigger. Recently, keeping up with the changing fashion styles has become nearly impossible. So, some people think that these trends only exist to subtly persuade us into buying certain clothing items. They believe that clothing should be a personal preference and that everyone should dress as they please. Although it is justifiable that many people would choose to follow the latest trends and what is in fashion, I tend to agree with the former statement because of the negative environmental impact of producing clothes. It's a very long introduction, but it's very good. I teach introductions in one kind of format, and I try to get students to master them. But when I see variations that are done well, that's great. If I were to delete one sentence in this, I would delete this one. Because it's actually not mentioned in the premise. I would start this with some people believe that clothing. So we practice in the academy. We were doing this morning a to what extent question, and this week is a balanced approach. And so for our introduction, we're practicing opinions differ regarding whether, excuse me, which is such a great paraphrase for an opinion question, excuse me. So I think this introduction is maybe a little bit too long for an IELTS essay. So IELTS is such a specific essay. So I would probably delete this sentence and just write some people believe. But Wafa, if you did this in the correct amount of time, then fine, then there's nothing wrong with it. But, and the other thing I would say is not tend to agree. So I think when it's to what extent, I wholeheartedly agree. And okay, that's fine. So a large number, so if you're agreeing, Wafa, then I don't want to see in your body paragraphs, I don't want to see you talking about the other side. If you decide to fully agree in your thesis, then you should fully agree all throughout your essay. It's not a balanced approach. So a large number of people, especially teenagers, are fashion conscious and would find great pleasure in following trendy fashion styles. And not would, I always know someone's nationality when by particular words, and some nationalities use would too much, find great pleasure in following. To them, wearing the latest outfits and styles gives a sense of confidence and individualism. Okay, fueling this demand are fashion magazines, which create the desire and will soon be out of fashion. What these consumers do not realize is that all these trends are passing and will soon be out of fashion. The negative environmental impact the clothing industry has on nature is another reason why people should not follow these trends. This is because producing clothes leaves a pollution footprint and generates environmental hazard. So, Wafa has an absolutely wonderful command of English, but this is not an ideal structure at all. So she has written 2 body paragraphs, but the second body paragraph, this is the second body paragraph. I'm sorry. The negative impact, sorry, I thought this was all one body paragraph. I'm making lots of errors this morning. So the negative environmental impact the clothing industry has on nature is another reason why people should not follow fashion trends. This is because producing clothes leaves a pollution footprint and generates environmental hazards. So then we bring this up here. So this is your for example. For example, polyester, the most used manufactured fiber, is made from petroleum. So you want another comma here. Also, you want a comma after also. The manufacturing of polyester and other synthetic fabrics is an energy-intensive process requiring a large amount of crude oil and releasing emissions which can cause or aggravate respiratory diseases. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand the purpose of the first body paragraph. Remember, so there's so many different types of essays, and IELTS essays are such a particular and such a special type of essay. If you're agreeing, Wafa, that it's negative, I believe you shouldn't be writing about the reason for people following. It's not, you haven't really written a balanced approach. So you're saying, although it's justifiable, but it seems to me that you only agree with one statement. You don't agree, you don't have a balanced approach. So because you're not saying a balanced approach, you shouldn't really talk about the reasons or the other side in the first body paragraph. I still think you'd get a really high score for this essay. It's not in the format I would teach, but that doesn't mean it's wrong at all. Let me see if there are any comments. Oh, there's Wafa. Hi, Wafa. There you are, Wafa. Okay, so okay, I mean, that's fine, and I understand why you do that. So I don't have the only IELTS formula. There are so many different ways you can approach, but whether to what extent do you agree or disagree? So you either should fully agree or disagree, or you should write a balanced approach. But if you fully agree or disagree, you shouldn't talk about the other side, according to me. So, but I understand about not having enough ideas. So if you're talking about the negative impact of fashion, Wafa, what I would say is in your first body paragraph, I would talk about, I still think you get a good score for this essay. I do. So BP1, I talk about that fashion goes out of, that fashion doesn't last. and then the environmental impact. But anyway, so what I believe is when it's fully agree or fully disagree, don't talk about the other side. If you're using a balanced approach, then you can talk about the other side. That's the way I teach. However, you have still written a very good essay. So I always get confused when I see essays. It's not my structure, I think. But that's not my structure. But it's still very good. But I don't know. So, yeah. I mean, you'd get an 8 for a lot of this. You'd get a 9 for some of your vocabulary and collocations, which can cause or aggravate respiratory diseases. So that's very, very good. I'm interested in your nationality, Wafa. You don't have to tell me, but it's always so interesting for me. Yeah. Okay. Really, really good job. Yeah. Good, 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 good. And someone said, why is petroleum with a capital P, small p? You're right. Yeah, an energy intensive process. Like, my goodness, that's just amazing. Requiring a large amount of crude oil. You've got a participle clause here. This alone, all of this whole sentence is very, very high level. Okay, good job, Wafa. I don't really have any comments other than not sure. I mean, you definitely, my objective is to get students to a 7. When it comes to 8, I'm not sure what differentiates a 7.5 and 8, but this would definitely be a 7 higher. So this is amazing. Fueling this demand are fashion magazines, must-have items. Great. Okay, good job, Wafa. And then we've got Ahus, who is GT. So we've got a letter. Write a letter to the manager of the taxi company to complain about the problem with the taxi service used by you. When and where you use the taxi, describe the problem you faced. What do you expect the manager to do? Alrighty. Dear Sarah, Madam, I'm writing this letter to report issues that I encountered. Very nice. Brilliant. You encounter an issue. Very good. When I traveled through, we wouldn't say through taxi. We would say when I traveled by or in. When I traveled in taxi. Number from Blue Area, Lahore to Stadium Road is up. Okay, good. I hired a taxi from your website and the driver picked me up outside my house opposite Wonder Park in Blue Area. So what do we need to, when and where you use the taxi? Good. Now, I could always tell nationalities. Like, I had faced. We don't use had here. I faced. This is past simple. This is a story that happened in the past that's finished. If you're talking about something that happened before your story, the past before the past, then you used had. But here it's incorrect. I faced a couple of issues. Why don't you start with unfortunately? Did you use unfortunately yet? Because it's a negative thing. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, I faced a couple of issues. First of all, not only air conditioning. Okay, so let's stop here, full stop. Unfortunately, I faced a couple of issues. Okay, and then capital letter. First of all, comma. Not only not only plus auxiliary, not only was the air conditioning not working, not only was the air conditioning of a car. So when we mention a noun for the first time, we use a, but when we talk about, again, the one that we already know, then it's the. Not only was the air conditioning of the car not working properly, okay, and then comma, because it's two clauses with not only two clauses, but also, but the car was also not clean, but also the car was not cleaned inside. Good. Secondly, as a driver, no, so we want the driver because it's specific. We know exactly, put a coffee here, 1 second. We know exactly which driver. You're being specific. The. As the driver, past simple, had, but better to say did not have. Did not have extra tires. One of the tires burst in the middle of the road. I had no other option but to wait for almost 2 hours because he had to fix the tire from the auto. I got late for a very important meeting because of the driver's negligence. Okay, good. No, we don't get late. We just simply are late. So I was late, or I arrived late. I would appreciate it if you could maintain the quality and standard as mentioned on your website so that no other passenger has to face these issues in the future. Additionally, I would like to ask you to refund the charges that I paid for a tour. So a tour means any tour, but you're being specific. And a tour is more about touristy. So we're going to say the trip or the journey. It's very kind of you, Ahus. You're very generous. I would be much angrier than this. Additionally. Very good. Yes. So just with your articles, when we're being specific about something that we know you want the. So, any questions? Great job, everyone. It's really lovely to see you. So I'm always, I hate to email people too much. I wonder if it's useful to maybe email after the feedback with some maybe good vocabulary that I found to help the students. I will attach these documents to the video and see you next week. I'm going to be releasing this free essay structure training. I've now changed the academy admission so that you don't have to buy a complete course, intensive course anymore. You can actually join the academy, the same classes as the intensive course, for monthly membership, which might help some students. There are some spaces. I'd love to have you with me if you'd like to work with me closely and sort out your systematic errors. But apart from that, I will see you next week, and let me know if you've got any questions.